Oh, James and the kids are out on a hike. I am here and I'm watching a movie. So if you hear any like screaming and stuff in the background, it's not me, it's not the kids, it's the movie. I am watching The Shallows, which incidentally I've been wanting to watch for a long time, and right now it happens to be free on Peacock, a streaming service. So we're watching that. This is a randomly timed, hi Crazy Cat, randomly timed live stream, obviously. Because why not? I found during the last live stream that I had a lot of fun. And with the laptop right here, I got work done as well while being with you guys. And so I decided we'd do that again. Hello, Vin Julianne. So that's what we're doing. But what are we doing? Well, I need to look at, I've already started, but I need to look some more at emergency car kits. You guys know that that's what I'm working on right now. And to those who have recently subscribed to our channel because of our new prepping adventures, thank you so much. I sure appreciate you and am glad you are part of the Frugal family. Hello, Phyllis. So what we are doing, we are watching The Shallows. Crazy Cat, you're a nut. Yes, don't forget to wash your hands properly when the zombies are trying to eat you. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can watch the really long live stream we did the other day. So, okay, so I'm watching a scary movie, and it's called The Shallows. It's a shark movie. And I am also kind of researching and planning out the emergency car kit that we talked about. Have I finished the 72-hour kit? No, not yet. I have not yet. But I'm probably going to be working on that, excuse me, during another live stream. I am finding that I'm not saying this is the only thing I'm going to do and this is how everything's going to be from now on, but I find that I really enjoy doing the live stream thing with you guys. Oh my God, this movie. Ooh, The Shallows. Whoa. And it helps my energy. And part of it is just that then I don't have to edit. I will be doing some edited videos, and yes, hello, Lightning Anna. Yes, someday I will absolutely go dumpster diving again. Someday, okay? But I am still wearing the boot. Remember, we thought I would be done on Saturday with it? Yeah, that didn't happen. And so here we are. So we're going to be doing a lot of prepping. And I hope you're down for that, because we should all have emergency kit situations, have stuff like that. Now, here's the big question. This is what it really comes down to. So, hello, Joanne Van Hook. No, I haven't. We went north the other day, but did not end up having time to stop at the P.O. box. Long story, not going to get into it right now. But I promise I will get there. I am unfortunately still in the boot. So it's a thing at a time. Okay, so let's jump in. This is the only problem with doing this live is I want to cover some material and say some stuff, but then at the same time, I also want to engage. So please bear with me as we work through this. Okay. So the big question that I'm working on right now, should we get, sorry, I just had my early dinner. Should we, oh, this movie is so, it's freaky. The shark's going to come. It's going to get them. Okay, anyway, The Shallows. That's what I'm watching. So anyway, should we get a pre-made emergency car kit, or should we try to make one ourselves? Okay. Hi, Bonnie. So, if you didn't see, the other day we were out and about, and oh, the shark got him. Ooh. Feel free to watch along with me. The Shallows for free on Peacock, fun streaming service. So we were out, and there was another fire, and so you guys saw we drove past that, and there's several fires going on. Luckily, the one that we drove by, it did get put out and did not spread. So yay for that. Thank you, firefighters. Hello, Renee. have a wonderful time at work. So since we saw that, and we had already been talking about emergency prep and car kits, it was like, oh boy, Julie, you got to do this. You got to get ready. So I started doing some research and wanted to do some more while I have you guys with me. Would you get a pre-made car kit or make one yourselves? And also, which costs less? And you know, time is money. Hi, Rita. How are you, Rita? Time is money, okay? So for a lot of things, it does make sense to just go ahead and make the investment, pay the price, rather than using your own time to put something together. And I absolutely get that and respect that. And that might be the route that I go. But what I want to do is see which way is cheaper, for one, because we are the frugal family, but frugality and you know, also should include the fact that your time is money. And sometimes it just makes more sense to spend the money in order to not have to use up the time. You know what I mean? So, okay. But let's compare the cost. And then also, of course, there's the other part of it, the other facet to it with us is that we are dumpster divers. And so there are a lot of things that they show in like these kits, a lot of things that are included in like the ones you find at Walmart or on Amazon. So do we already have some of the things that are already included? So let's look at a pre-made car emergency kit. And let's see what things are listed in here. This is my one thing about not wanting to get a pre-made one is that I already have some of the things that are listed and included. And I don't want to buy the kit with these other things when I've already got them. That feels like a waste of money and a waste of space. And we have very limited space. You guys know that. But at the same time, I mean, it doesn't really hurt to have another, you know what I mean? Let's just look. Okay. There's various, and you guys can look this up with me. There are various kits depending on your price range and what all you want to have included in it. So let's just pull up this one. This is Always Prepared Roadside Emergency Kit. And what it has, let's see. So is there like a list? It doesn't look like there's a list, so I'll just kind of call these out. So, and the cool thing about looking into this is it's giving me ideas of, in case I do go ahead and make my own, there's some things that I had not yet thought of, okay? But obviously, as a saver, a salvager, someone who has accumulated things that would fit. Oh, the kids aren't here, Leilani. They're out on a hike with my husband. And because my foot is still a mess, I couldn't go with them. So I thought, I'm going to go ahead and spend some time with you guys watching a scary movie and planning for scary situations. Ooh. So I do have several things that we have found dumpster diving. And I had thought, oh, those might be a good idea. And then there were some things I hadn't thought of, but in looking at these pre-made kits, it's reminded me, oh, I already have this, and this, that could go in there. So for instance, this one includes jumper cables. We already have jumper cables. It includes a towing, not cord, but a towing strap. We already have one of those. It includes light sticks. Now in our 72-hour kit, there are some light sticks, but I don't have any in the car. So that's something that it would make sense to either, depending on the cost, buy it to have as part of the car kit rather than the backpack, the 72-hour bug out bag kit. So it would make sense to, hi Shatika, it would make sense to have some, to get some more for this. It also, let's see, an emergency blanket, emergency poncho, some gloves, which I know that I have a lot of gloves already as a dumpster diver and a gardener. So I could put some in there. It also includes a safety vest, you know, that have like the reflectors. I already have a few of those that we found dumpster diving. And so absolutely I could put in, there's NWI Diver. Hello. And guys, even if, I should point this out, everyone's talking about you do your own so you could personalize it. And yeah, I mean, if I were to get one of the pre-made ones, yeah, definitely I would add some of our own things to personalize it. There's definitely things I would include. But the main point right now is seeing how much I have of the things that it suggests or includes. And, you know, obviously for me, hello, Janet. Obviously for me, it's going to be a little different than just the average person because, like I said, I do have a long history of dumpster diving and saving and salvaging things. And so I already have, you know, some of this stuff on hand. So what we want to figure out is for someone who doesn't dumpster dive or have these things on hand, if you were going to buy it all separately, would it be more expensive? Hello, Elizabeth. Would it be more expensive than buying it already done? And that's just for anybody. And then for me, for myself, for my family, the Frugal Family, would it make sense financially to go ahead and buy this, or should we use what we already have? Obviously we should use what we already have, but anyway, okay, so we do have the safety vests. Then it includes a tire pressure gauge. I know we have one in the van. It also has a wrench. And here's something that's definitely important that I don't have in the car. Some, either this one has like a triangle shaped reflector that you fold out and put on the ground. But I've also seen people use the little orange cones, light up or not. And I've many times thought, oh, I should have that in some of those in the car. And I know that we have some that my husband has used for like soccer and stuff like that. So either I need to get those that he already has if he, you know, is fine with me just putting them in the car. I haven't seen him use them in years, so why not? Either use those or get a light up reflector or some cones for things like when you are off on the side of the road and need to change a tire, you know, or something, whatever the situation, so that, you know, you can not get run over, ideally, hopefully. Then bungee cords. I know I have bungee cords. I know I've got bungee cords. It's a matter of gathering them up. And then also, do I have spare bungee cords? Because we already use them for other things. And I don't know if I have any to spare. So we'll see. We'll see. But bungee cords, most of the ones I have are from the dumpsters. Let's see. Yeah, definitely, Bonnie. Your car kit should be, as with any of your emergency kits, should be refreshed regularly. You should check into, you know, regularly. And yeah, definitely change it out for the season. Let's see. For instance, like I was saying the other day, it's fire season right now here and a million other places. So there might be things that you're going to want to have in your car during fire season or during winter that you maybe wouldn't need or want the rest of the year. So there are Q-tips. Why are there Q-tips? Clue me in, friends. Why would there be Q-tips? What are you supposed to use those for? I don't know. There are some different kinds of wipes. Let's see. There are pliers. Well, I could put some pliers in. There's your standard emergency stuff. Good idea, Leilani, to just put reflective tape on the cones would be great. Let's see. So some standard first aid stuff, you know, bandages, tape, some gloves. These are different gloves. Yeah, Q-tips is kind of strange, isn't it? But they're included in this. I don't know why. So there was the like heavy duty gloves, but there's also some like latex type gloves for if, you know, there is an emergency situation with where you need like first aid or whatever. Assorted bandages, some PVC tape, a whistle, a flashlight. And this is the one that for some reason I had not thought of before, but I'm thinking of it now because I've been looking these up. And that is this tool that is used to break the window and also to cut your seat belt. I will be looking into this and finding some stories of these different kinds of situations where that kind of tool was necessary. But there are situations where, for instance, we have auto windows, right? So we have, hi Kimberly, hi Dawn. So we have electric windows. Well, if your car is underwater, it's, you're probably not going to be able to roll down the window that way. The way, if you have an old school car or one that's like a base model, they still make these where you have the window you actually have to roll down manually. Those do still exist. Then you might not have a problem. But if you are in a more modern vehicle, you're not going to be able to get the window down and you're going to sleep with the fishes. But if you have this tool, then you can break the window out. And car windows are really hard to break. They're made a special way so that they don't shatter. There's things in the way that they're made, and so you do need a tool. It's not going to be as easy as just kicking the window out. All right, and so this is a very specific tool. What I wondered is, would a hammer, like a regular hammer, would it do the job? I'm going to look it up in a minute, but first let's finish talking about this tool, because I think it is the last thing. It is the last thing on the list, well, included in this particular kit. So many times people have been stuck because of their seatbelt. So when you are in a car wreck, things get smunched up, and the same way that, if a door frame warps, you can't open or close the door properly. Well, it's the same with a seatbelt. If the car gets smushed, your connector to your seatbelt, the clip might get bent a funny way and you can't undo the seatbelt. So you do need to have some kind of tool in the car. I have scissors in the car, but I think it would make sense to have this as well. And so there's numerous different options. I saw as I was researching before, a million different options and different styles or whatever for this multi-tool that not only you can break the window with it, but also it cuts seatbelts. So, all right, so that was that one, and that one costs $49.99 on Amazon. But there's also this other one, and this is significantly more expensive. This one is $142. Okay, so Frugal Living says the hammer won't work. Okay, I had wondered that because, and like I was saying, they make car windows and windshields to a certain, to these specifications for safety. But unfortunately, a lot of times the things that we do in order to be safe, given awful circumstances, can actually work against us. Yeah. And I was reading something about when you want to break out of the car, or if you need to break in to get a child or a pet out of a car, whatever, you need these specific tools because the windows are made differently. And for instance, what I was reading in the suggestions of how to break yourself out of your car, it recommended first, don't go for the windshield or the back window, because those are even harder to break. Unless it's a rock flying out of a dump truck on the freeway, they break everything. But it said to go for the side windows, and not only that, but to go for the corners. So not the middle, which is interesting because I would have thought, oh yeah, go for the middle. Why would I have thought that? I don't know. I just did. But it actually says to go for the corners. Okay. So this other kit that I'm looking at has other things to it that makes sense. And in my opinion, some of these make sense more as winter things. So this one has, let's see, a snow shovel, which would make sense. And I would add to that something like a bag of gravel or kitty litter or something. Because the idea is, especially living in Utah, where we have some pretty extremes as far as weather, we've got the super hot of summer and then the super cold and snowy of winter. I've seen that you can use kitty litter to, to put that under your wheel to try and get traction. But also it would help to have a shovel, specifically a snow shovel to get, a little fold up shovel. I saw those in some of the kits as well. And that, you could do that with that as well. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, that would make sense to have. It's also got a first aid kit. It has the vest, the reflective vest. It also, this is interesting, it has a sign. I don't know how much this would help with anything, but it has a big sign that says emergency help. What else does it have? Hand warmers, gloves, a multi-tool, a whistle, a light up, an ice scraper. Also, oh, this is a good idea. It also has, well, it's got, your reflectors and your jumper cables, but it also has a can of the Fill-A-Flat. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's just a bottle that you can get at Walmart, at the automotive store, whatever, AutoZone. And it's a Fix-A-Flat that will temporarily repair small holes in your tire and reinflate them. You can also get, I have in my car, and I need to charge it now that we're thinking about this, but a portable jumper, a portable jumper. So instead of having to get your jumper cables and hook them up to someone else's car, if there's someone else to help you, it is a portable jumper, and it's awesome. It's this thing, this case. I'll show you on an edited video. But anyway, so you bring that along and make sure it's charged, and it will jump your car for you. There's some, like the one I have now, I'm on my second one now, that also has the means to inflate a tire, and also it has an outlet to hook in a USB. So if you needed to charge something else, and I have used it for that, like when camping. So I would recommend, definitely have a bare minimum, the can of Fix-A-Flat, but then when you're able to afford it, get a jumper. Not just jumper cables, no, but a portable jumper, because it will help inflate your tire. You can use it as a power source, an emergency backup power source, and it will jump your battery in your car. Let's see. Someone else was saying needle and thread, for wounds. So I would say that goes kind of in the emergency kit. And this is the thing. Yeah, you're going to want to have an emergency kit, a first aid kit, rather. So yeah, a first aid kit, but there's also, this is more specifically a car emergency kit. You know what I mean? So it's not specifically a first aid, because you're going to have your first aid along as a part of your emergency kit in your car. But these are the other things that are more specifically for a car, to have in the car. So water, obviously, is something you're going to want, and it's not included in, these emergency kits. So you're also going to want to have food. And those are things that I'm ordering separately. I'm going to have a big case of water and then a few jugs of water to put in the car. And then I will have an airtight sealed tote of food, ideally foods that will last a long, long time, that don't require any kind of cooking, that are high calorie, high protein kinds of things, and that don't need to be changed out often. Obviously, we've got to check in with it, on a regular basis, a few times a year, but it makes sense to just have stuff that's going to last a long, long time, so that then, even that way, if you don't get around to changing it often, I mean, good intentions are great, but some of us struggle with follow through, like me. Hi. So yeah, MREs, that's fine. Dawn, stuff like that, freeze dried things, whatever. But it makes sense to have something that is low maintenance, like MREs, that you can just set it and forget it. Because let's be realistic, this is real life, and that's sometimes the way it is. Okay. What else? Let's see. Oh, I know what I was going to do. So those are some of the kits. Oh, here's another one. Let's see what this one has. Because it's got some other things. A whistle? No, that's not a whistle. It's a little flashlight. Oh, a flashlight that's also a whistle. It also includes things like safety pins. Hadn't thought of safety pins. And even a small toolkit with assorted tools like a box cutter, screwdrivers. I mean, I don't know what I would use those for. Hi, Cynthia. I'm so glad you're here. I don't know what I would be using those for necessarily. And that's the thing you're going to see is there's so many different ones with slightly different, different variations. Duct tape, great idea. But let's look at a list. If we can find, like a comprehensive list of what to have in your car for emergencies beyond the stuff we've already mentioned. I don't know. So let's see. So a cell phone and car charger. Did you guys know with cell phones, even if the phone has no cell service, like there's not a plan linked to it, your AT&T, your T-Mobile, whatever, even if you're not paying for service, you can, hi Laura, you can still get you can still use it to call for emergency services. So, did you know that? So, you find a random old cell phone, as long as it will turn on and you have access to a cell tower somewhere, you don't need to have, this is specifically for making an emergency phone call, it doesn't need to have a provider contract. Okay, so it just needs to have a charge and have reception, cell reception, okay? So yeah, all you've got to do is press the 9, hold the 9 down. This is on most cell phones. Just push the 9 down and it will still call emergency services if you have reception. So, most of us have old cell phones kind of kicking around. It would make sense to have one with a corresponding charger in your car and just keep the cell phone charged so that if there is an emergency, some kind of situation, then that is there and you can use it at least to call for emergency services and also for other functions like the flashlight on it, or to take pictures, or to play games while you're waiting and bored. I don't know. It also says, of course, a first aid kit, then a blanket. Now, something interesting about this list is from AAA, which I don't know if you guys have that outside of the US, but we do have it here. And it not only gives an idea of the things to have, but also where to put them in your car. And I'm really glad that it says that, because that was something that I hadn't really thought about. My original thought was, well, just have all your emergency tools in a tub or something, a tote in the back of the car. But guys, things like the seat belt cutter and the window breaker are not going to do you any good in a tote in the trunk, right? If you are sitting up in the front seat and you're all smunched in and can't get your seatbelt undone or try to break out, you can't access them. So I love that it says this is where you should have these particular items. For instance, the cell phone and car charger should be in the glove compartment. Also, the first aid kit should be in the glove compartment. Let's see. A blanket in the luggage area. Drinking water and snacks for everyone in the car, including pets. Have some in the glove compartment, just enough, and then the rest in the luggage area. A flashlight with extra batteries, rags, paper towels, or pre-moistened wipes. It doesn't give a suggestion on where to put these, but I would recommend having the flashlight close to you as the driver. Let's see. Same if, the thing that breaks windows and cuts seatbelts, you're going to want to have that right close to you. So like in the side of your door or in the center console or, in the glove box. Let's see. Basic set of tools along with duct tape and car emergency warning devices such as road flares or reflectors. It does say to have those in the luggage area. And that's other kinds of tools and things, but for tools such as the seatbelt cutter, yeah, you want that up front where you can get to it easily. An ice scraper and or snow brush, jumper cables or a jump pack. That's what I was talking about, is the portable jumper. Traction aid, here we go, such as sand, salt, or non-clumping cat litter, and that would be in the back. A tarp, raincoat, and gloves. Because what if you're having to change the tire out in the rain? Pieces are going to be slippy. It's going to be raining on you. You've already put up your reflectors, your cones, your flares, but now you are getting soaking wet, trying to change this tire. So yeah, have you a poncho you can get them at the dollar store, or raincoat, a tarp, and also a shovel. Yeah, there's a good chance, Laura, that I do have a lot of this already. And so for me, yeah, most likely I am going to put my own kit together. I'll use one of our extra, duffel bags or something that we already have, or a backpack. We have found tons of those dumpster diving, especially at the public schools. So I think that's what we'll do. But I do want to do the comparison so that we know, okay, if any average person that doesn't dumpster dive wanted to put their own together versus buying one pre-made and then adding, their own personalized, customized things to it, which way would be more cost effective? So that's the list from AAA. Let's see if there's anything else that we have not. Okay, this list is from a page called Driving Tests. And let's see if it has anything else that was not listed. Oh, okay, something nice about this list. It says some of the same things, but it gives reasons why you would want that, which I think is awesome. So obviously a jumper, something that inflates your tires, those are obvious. The tool for breaking the windows and cutting the seat belts, that's pretty obvious. But this explains some of the other things, why you would want this and uses for these other things. For instance, a small blanket can serve many purposes for a stranded driver. Most importantly, a blanket will provide much needed warmth for a stranded driver in cold weather, but also a blanket can also serve as a pad on which to lie if you need to get underneath your car to inspect damage or make a repair. And a simple blanket can also be useful in a variety of medical emergencies. For instance, you can tear the blanket or cut the blanket to use to wrap up injuries or make a tourniquet. There's other things. Let's see. Okay, Cynthia, I saw that you suggested this. Now, this is interesting that AAA did not, but it is on this list, and that is a small gas can. 1 or 2 gallon gas can will come in handy if you run out of gas. These small containers can be purchased for only a few dollars and, are compact enough to be easily stored in your trunk. If you ever run out of gas, one of these containers will allow you to purchase just enough fuel to get your car to the nearest gas station. So great idea. That is a really good idea. I've always been a little funny about that because for whatever reason, I've been scared to have a thing of gas in my car because I've watched a lot of movies. Okay. I've watched a lot of movies where, cars blow up and, so I didn't want to have the gas in the car. But 1 or 2 gallons of gas, it's just a little bit of gas. It's going to be enough to get you, off of the freeway and, to the next exit that has your Maverick gas station. So it is wise to have a little bit of gas available. in your car, and I do need to do that. And we have found so many gas cans in the dumpsters, but they do tend to be bigger ones. They're not the little small ones. So I'm going to look through what we have, see if we do happen to have a small one. Mostly because I just don't want to take up too much space. Obviously, the frugal thing would probably be to just use, hi Anita, to just use what we already have, you know. But again, time is money, and so is space. Space is money too, okay? And there's a lot of things that I want to put in the car, but also still be able to use the car to bring groceries home, okay? And to put things in if we're dumpster diving or whatever. So what I'm saying is, prioritize your emergency supplies. What are the most vital things that you need to have, that you should have in your car, but that ideally are going to take up as little space as possible? Also, it says distilled water. In an emergency situation that leaves you stranded for a long period of time, water will be necessary for hydration, obviously. But also, and this is why I'm going to have drinking water, but also just my 2-liter bottles of water that, you know, it's just water from the tap that has been sitting in these, you know, 2-liter bottles for like ever. That's not necessarily going to be your drinking water, but, and I've had to do this before, if your car overheats, you will be able to use distilled water to cool your engine. A gallon of distilled water can be easily stored in your trunk or cargo area. We've had to do that before. If you've been with us forever, you will remember we went through a lot with the minivan. We had to replace so many things, including the transmission, you know, and the radiator and stuff like that. And so we did have to pour in water into the coolant thing, and we've had to do that. So you want to have some water for drinking, but also water for your car. It gets thirsty too. All right, let's see. Tire wedges. Didn't list this on any of the other lists. I did not think of that either. Tire wedges are necessary if you need to change a tire or inspect damage to your vehicle. 2 small plastic tire wedges can be used to secure your car and keep it from rolling. What a wonderful idea. And they are available at most auto parts stores. Then it talks about an emergency signal. We already talked about that. Some cones, something with reflectors, or some flares. Snacks are essential. We've talked about that. Whether you are stranded because of a flat tire, a traffic jam, or poor weather conditions, I would also recommend, because of personal experience years ago, if you still have young kids, babies, have some extra formula, whether powder or pre-made, in the car, and store it properly. Be aware if it's, you know, going to be a problem if it gets too hot, whatever, but have some of that included. Keep a protein bar, a bag of trail mix, or dried fruit in your vehicle in case you need extra energy while stranded. And, you know, yes, on the trail mix, only if you are going to be committed to regularly, you know, cycling through stuff and changing stuff out, because nuts, they go bad. So it's not something that you can just set it and forget it. No, you can't. But there are other things that you can. Okay, so I would recommend myself, because I know that even with all of the best intentions and saying I will totally keep on top of this, there's a very good chance that I won't. This is really good point Robin Stevens makes, that in a lot of cars you can use the headrest to break the window with the metal things. Either way, whatever tool you end up using, it's going to require some effort. Yeah. A little bit of elbow grease to get it done. All right, let's look at one more list. Okay, this one is from the National Safety Council. And let's see. Okay, so it's saying A properly inflated spare tire, a wheel wrench, and a tripod jack. Also, jumper cables, a toolkit or multi-purpose utility tool, flashlight and extra batteries, reflectors, or brightly colored cloth to make your vehicle more visible. A compass, a first aid kit, the foods, the drinking water, a reflective vest, a car charger, and a fire extinguisher. Okay, hey, this is why I'm looking at so many different lists and pre-made kits, because I want to make my own comprehensive composite list of what I'm going to have in the car. So a fire extinguisher, obviously that totally makes sense to have a fire extinguisher in the car. Absolutely. So adding that to my list. Let's see. Additional items for cold weather include a snow brush, a shovel, windshield washer fluid, specifically the kind that will melt ice, warm clothing, and cat litter for traction, and also blankets. It's also a good idea to keep family and emergency phone numbers, including your auto insurance provider and a towing company, in your phone. They're saying in your phone, but I would also recommend having them on a printout, a laminated printout, maybe in your glove box, because if someone finds you in an emergency situation, they're not going to be able to pull up your contact list if your phone is locked. And my phone is locked for safety and privacy. So they wouldn't be able to get into, I don't think, into my phone list. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they'd be able to get into my contact list if my phone is locked. So maybe having it printed somewhere would make sense. Okay. Yeah, I'm loving about looking at the different lists, the different recommendations, because we've looked at several lists and each one had at least one thing different than the others, which I think is fantastic. Let's see. What the heck? Let's find one more. Oh, that's funny. This other one from survivallife.com also notes that it's interesting that so many don't include fire extinguisher, because we looked at these several different lists and only one listed fire extinguisher. But think about how many situations there have been where a fire extinguisher would have come in really handy, in trying to keep someone alive, to save someone, to put the fire out until you can get to the person. Anyway, that's awesome. Let's see if it lists anything else that was not on the others. Pocket knife. Well, we talked about having the tool. Oh, a local road map. Now, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but again, most of us use Google, okay, and Google Maps or whatever. It wouldn't hurt to have a local road map, especially if you're traveling. Because what happens if let's just consider worst case scenarios, because that's the point of things like emergency kits and survival kits and car insurance and health insurance. It is specifically for the purpose of worst case scenarios. So let's go ahead and get paranoid for a minute. Hi, Tina. I'm so glad you're here. Let's go ahead and get paranoid for a minute and think of worst case scenarios while we consider all the potential disasters. Great idea, Laura. Funnels. Great idea. So having a local road map, especially if you are traveling. So worst case scenario, you don't have access to Google Maps anymore for whatever reason, and the road that you were taking is now unavailable, whether it was a rock slide, an avalanche, a hole opened up in the earth and took the road with it. I don't know. Okay, things happen and you need to get somewhere and you don't know where you are, and that road map is going to come in really handy. Let's see. I think that's the only other thing on this one that wasn't on the others. Also, tell me, do you, whether on the live stream or the rebroadcast, do you have an emergency kit in your car? And when is the last time you updated it? because the mac and cheese in there, in the little Go cups that you put in 5 or 6 years ago, probably not good anymore. So it's time to check it out, okay? All right, so let's see. Any other things that you guys can think of that we should have? And you can go based on assorted disaster scenarios, because remember, we were specifically the other day talking about if you live in a fire-prone area during fire season, what are some other things that you might want to have? But also, like we were saying, or it's winter, or you live in a hurricane zone or a tornado area. What are some other things that you would recommend having in an emergency kit for that specific area? Because that's the thing. We all live in, I'm not going to go through a tornado, not a tornado, those do happen here. I am not going to go through a hurricane in Utah. I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to worry about that. But I do need to worry about earthquakes, fires, avalanches, those kind of things where I live. So specific to where you live and things that happen on the regular where you live, what other things would you recommend having in your car? Also, have you had, I know there's a couple of you that have, had personal experience in a survival situation where you relied on those emergency supplies in your car, or you didn't have the emergency supplies in your car? What things would you have liked to have had on hand in that emergency situation? Okay. I was also reading some stories about people's experiences in escape situations, in emergency situations, and I highly recommend, as you are preparing your kit, revamping your kit, refreshing your kit, or starting from scratch like we are, read some of these stories to get more ideas of things that might make sense to have. Because like I said, we read through several different lists, and each one of them had at least one different thing that the other lists did not. So there's going to be a variety of situations. And will you ever go through one of these situations? Will you ever end up in one of these emergencies? Not necessarily. There's no guarantee. You might also never use your health insurance. That'd be weird. I have no idea what that would be like, but it could happen. You might never, ever, ever in your life have to make an insurance claim through your car insurance. You might never have to. It could happen. That's your life. You make it to like 89 years old and have never had to use that. But more likely, you will have to. There will be many occasions where you have to utilize those in case of emergency resources. So makes sense to go ahead and be ready, you know? Let's see. Now, some of these are absolutely bizarre and so unlikely unless you have just straight up put yourself in this situation. This one, it says, I escaped a wildfire in the Arctic Circle. I will never be in the Arctic Circle. I cannot imagine how I would end up there. So maybe not that necessarily, unless some of the specifics of that situation can also apply to, say, like somewhere you're living in Alaska. I don't know. But that actually makes a good point that fire can happen anywhere. Fire can happen anywhere. So don't think that, you know, because you're on a boat in the water, that fire will never be something you'll deal with. Because you should have emergency supplies, a whole different kind of emergency supplies, of course, in a boat. You should be prepared for any of these things. Have you ever watched the I Survived kind of videos where, you know, people that were stranded out on the ocean and stuff like that? That is terrifying. That is some stuff that, oh my God, that is absolutely terrifying. And I don't know what would even be the worst like situation to try to stay alive. I don't know. There's so many situations, you know. But that's one I don't want to go through that one. Nope. Okay. Let's see. So there's a whole bunch. There are so many stories that you can read. And the other thing about reading these stories and watching videos of these kind of stories is that it reminds you that this stuff, and this is not to have us all living in fear. This is to combat the fear. You know, you guys know that I have been dealing with a lot of that lately with just traumatic stuff going on in our lives and, you know, trying to channel that fear and to fight against that fear by being prepared. That's what this whole point, the point of this series is trying to turn that fear around or harness that energy for good, to get something good out of this, okay, of these experiences that myself and my family and the world are going through. Tina, I like what you're saying here. Gathering items a few at a time, putting them aside, absolutely. And that's kind of the way I'm doing it as well. Because, and this just makes sense, guys, you might not have the money to go out and get every single possible, hi Polly, every single possible item that you will need in your emergency situations. Hi Kathy. You might not be able to do that right now. So I would say start with a couple of things, start with a few things. My suggestion would be these top 2 items for in your car. And that would be the water. That's top priority, is the water, and then the tool that breaks windows and cuts seat belts. If you can't do anything else right now, I absolutely understand that. So start with the water and the tool. Say you don't have the money to go get cases of water. That's fine. Find some kind of receptacle in your home, okay? There you go. Fill that with water from the tap and put it out there. Even if you are worried about the plastic leaching into the water, that's not going to happen right away. And you're going to be so glad that you have that water in your car should a situation arise, you know, before you've had time, right, to get the other, you know, the other things. You're going to at least be grateful that you have that water in your car. You're going to be grateful for that. Yeah, absolutely. So I would say priority, definitely the water and the tool that will break the window and cut seat belts. Absolutely, those would be the top 2. And then as you're able, like Tina said, acquire those other things one at a time. Maybe you're putting some money aside for the jumper, okay, the portable battery jumper. You might also, you know, throw in a box of Band-Aids this week, and then maybe next week throw in, I don't know, the Neosporin and supplies for a splint or something, you know, a little at a time. It doesn't all have to be done at once. I know I'm not doing all of mine at once. No. But what I am going to do today is make sure that my jumper is charged and put water in the van, and then order the tool for breaking the window. Those are my commitments. Those are what I'm starting with. What are you starting with? We're also, and this I don't think we'll be able to do on a live stream, maybe we'll see, but we're going to start going through and gathering the different items throughout the house to see what all we already have on hand. I know I had started cleaning out a shelf in the upstairs bathroom and noticed a tote that I'd completely forgotten about of a whole bunch of dumpster salvage, brand new first aid supplies. Completely forgot about them. So, excuse me, I kept that out. We'll go through that together another day, very possibly on a live stream. But I'm also going to be looking around, elsewhere throughout the house for some of these things that we've talked about. For instance, the vests. I know exactly where they are, and they're the reflective vests that you'll see like road workers wearing. So I'm gonna go ahead and put one of those in the car. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a lot of really, really great stories about people who have survived absolutely unexpected situations. That is the biggest problem. The biggest problem that we run into when it comes to emergency preparedness is we all suffer from that delusion that it will never happen to us. Now, there's some things that it's easy to say will never happen to me right here in this house. Like I was saying, a hurricane is not going to happen here in the middle of Utah in my house. There's not going to be a hurricane. But if I'm traveling to Florida, as I do fairly often, there is a possibility of experiencing a hurricane there. So let's don't just say, oh, that will never happen to me or mine. I will always be able to get in touch with family, with first responders, with medical care. I'll always have access. No, you won't. No, you won't. Even the wealthiest people in the world will not always have access. So it makes sense to prepare for these emergencies, okay? And a lot of these were people, these survival stories, people that thought they were prepared, kind of like how I thought I was fairly prepared, and I'm totally not, because that's what we learned in going through my emergency bags the other day. I am so not prepared. Not. No. The thing that really surprised me was that there wasn't still like baby diapers and stuff in my bag. So I'm definitely not prepared. And we can always be a little more prepared. And I'm not saying go overboard. I am not saying build a bunker, okay? What I am saying to you and to me is just be prudent, start getting a few things together, a little here, a little there as you're able. Be more aware of your circumstances. Be more cautious. We live in a crazy world anymore. So just be smart about the things that you do. Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Continue living your life and having fun and adventures and making memories and doing all of those things. But over here, kind of on the back burner, just be prepared, because yes, it can happen to you. It absolutely can happen to you. Emergencies, they come up. Unexpected disasters, for instance, there's an area here in Utah, a very wealthy area, that ended up with contaminated water. I don't remember why or how or whatever, but the water, supply from the city ended up contaminated. And in this very affluent area, no one had access to their water. They were having to boil water or go and buy water or whatever. They were not prepared. And at the time of year that it made it that much more inconvenient to go and get water. If they had already had some on hand, it would have made things a little easier, and not having to get out of the house in winter to go and get water, which in and of itself is dangerous, living up in the mountains, getting down to the grocery store to get water. So it can happen to any of us. You need to be prepared. But especially for things that are more likely to happen in your area. Okay? And while we're wrapping this up, I would say go ahead and tell us in the comments what specifically would make sense where you live to have available for an emergency. Mostly today we're talking about stuff that you want to have in the car. Well, and then also, fire season and stuff like that. There are a lot of emergency situations where you're going to end up in your car trying to get away from the emergency, whether it is a tornado, a hurricane, a fire, maybe even an earthquake in the aftermath, and you are not able to go back for, anything. And so all you can rely on is what is already in your car. Tell me two things. One, what are the natural disasters or catastrophes likely to happen in your area? And are you prepared for them? Yikes. And then also, could you, if the situation happened right now, right at this moment, during this live stream, the things in your car, could they keep you and your family alive for any amount of time? If not, what is one thing that you can add today? One thing, I'll give you a hint. It's water that you could add to your car today so that for at least a couple of days, you could survive in your car. What'd you do wrong, Frugal Living? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. If it's that I'm not reading comments, guys, I need to get some thoughts out. And so I can't, yeah, sorry. That's what I was saying earlier is the problem with doing this kind of content like this, live stream rather than edited, because trying to interact while also finishing thoughts. Hi, Alyssa. While trying to finish thoughts and put info out. Oh, you posted a link? Awesome. I didn't see it, but there you go. There's an option right there. But I would also recommend when looking for a tool, read the reviews. Definitely read the reviews, because we all want a good deal, but also be careful, because a good deal is not always going to be the best deal, not always going to be the right tool. And when it comes to your life, you want the best possible tool. Now, having something is better than nothing, but if you can have whatever is the best thing, I mean, that's even better. It didn't show up, Frugal. I don't know, Shelly. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's wrap it up. The point of all of this, it can happen to you. No matter your situation, your status, doesn't matter. It can happen to you. Emergencies will happen. And in your specific area, you're going to be more likely to have certain ones than others, but you should be prepared for all of them. And the car is a place that you very likely will end up. Now, obviously, one of you said you don't have a car. Okay. But the majority of people, especially here in the U.S., do have a car. The U.S. is set up in most of it such that you need a car to get anywhere, unfortunately. So, but that car is where there's a strong possibility, whatever the disaster is, you're going to end up in that car. Could you survive in that car with what's in that car for 3 days? You, your family, and your pet. Could you? If not, you got to change that. Start with water and a tool to break the window and cut the seat belts, and then go from there. I have gotten so much researching done. I am ready to make my own comprehensive list and to start acquiring the different things throughout the house from what we already have, and then ordering anything that we might still need. But like I said, definitely going to get the water first and get the little tool thing and then go from there. So stay tuned. And also, please, guys, be careful, be cautious, be aware, live your life to the fullest, enjoy every single moment as best you can, but be prepared. Yeah? Because think of the peace of mind, knowing that you are prepared. Think of the peace of mind that comes with that, and that is absolutely priceless. All right. I'm going to watch some more scary movies, because for some of us, that's very comforting. Have a beautiful evening. I will see you all very soon.